I mean, for it, like, Roach is obviously the best deck in the game. But, like, something annoying to me is I saw people saying, oh, calc your damage is 2n minus 6, where n is the number of play points. That is a horrible way of calculating the deck. Now, to be fair, 2 Roaches with no additional bonuses, no evolves, no zero costs, does do 2n minus 9. So you lose 2 damage twice, use 4 play points plus 1 for the Roach, worth of 1 costs. Which is a useful amount for calculating your opponent's damage, since you can track every 2 they add to their hand, every 0 they add to their hand, plus 4. So, and you can then add evos to it. So you can track their lamp and can damage very easily, add 4 for a bunkle or 2 bales, and reasonably track the amount of damage your opponent can have, as they start at 2n minus 9. Then you add 2 for every for a bunkle, 2 for every 0 cost, 1 for the lamp and can, 2 for or 3 for evolves, and then like maybe a 2 for a bale. You count it, all of these, you know, they've added 2 of these, so they've got 4 additional cards. That's 8 extra damage. Now you can calc. Technically, if their order requires them to bounce a Roach with a Bugler or a Bunkle, they take an extra -1. But when you're playing against them, you don't calc that. When you are playing as the deck, you instead count every card you're playing on your turn, times that by 2, then -1 for the secondary Roach, -1 for any bounces. Add in your lamp and can and your evo damage, and you're done. It's not very difficult to calculate Roach damage on turn. The actual difficult thing for Roach is counting lethal 2 turns ahead. It's like playing a Roach for 4 damage or 7 damage with a super evolve, and then killing them with a 12 damage Roach 2 turns later. That's something you're just gonna have to learn. It's something I can really guide on. That would need specific examples showing you the gameplay, and that is not something I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna spend 2 hours showing you a bunch of Roach puzzles than the statistically optimal play 2 turns ahead. That's absurd. Can't remember what I was going to say, that's really annoying. Well, I guess we'll talk about... Oh, I wanted to talk about Mulligan, that's what. Yeah, no, I don't talk about that yet. Talk about Mulligan after talking about cards. We then have the list. This is the cards you're going to be running in every single deck. Tamer might actually be a 3 of. I think I'm going to convince myself that Tamer is a 3 of right now, even though she's weaker than the other cards. But my list don't run 3 Tamer, well, one list doesn't. I'll probably change it up to 3 Tamer later, the one I put in the description. You have May and Lily as your main removal options. Bugler also as well. Deal 3, very easy, kill basically any single card in the game. And you have Glade as board clear. Glade is generally, like, if you can greed out a Glade against a smart player, Glade is fairly useful to be greeted. But against most ladder players, you don't need to greed out Glade. They're not going to be playing around Glade. And we got Godwood Staff. We all know Godwood Staff is really good, draws cards, but there's a major downside with Godwood Staff. Godwood Staff makes you want to play your 1 cost to draw a card. 1 costs are more valuable than random cards in your deck, since they allow you to go into your Lily turns. They make your Roach turns, well, Lily, Roach, May, they enable you to set up your combos to kill your opponent's guys, to kill your opponent themselves. So you never really want to be in a position where you have no 1 costs in hand. That is extremely risky. Then we all have the obvious good 1-drop that adds a fairy, good 1-drop that adds a fairy, adds fairies, even though it's kind of a bad card. Kind of an inefficient card. Extender. Best extender in the game. This does 3 bonus damage, plus you can add a fairy, meaning you have more things to go into other combo turns. Crazy extender. Both as a combo extender and in terms of damage and in gameplay. Also, technically, Bunkle can be used for value occasionally. You can use it to bounce a Lily in matchups where you have like multiple things to remove. And we have Bale, obviously broken card. 0 cost, kill a guy, do more stuff with your Roach. Insane. Then we have our last few stack slots to should be filled by draw, draw, draw. Not really quite draw, but draw is really, really good for this deck. Lei is only here as an actual just draw card. Ruby is here because she improves the average quality of your hand. Like when you draw a double Godwood is not very good most of the time, so you can throw away a Godwood, improve your hand, as well as being a 2-drop, allowing you to play more tempo-oriented matchups. Fildao can sometimes help you deal with things like Alouette and Anne more consistently than just having Glade to deal with it, but you can just draw Glade forehead. Just draw the out smile. Fade Twinkletoes is fairly aggressive for this deck, allowing you to push additional damage. She is generally better in Aria lists than non-Aria lists, but allows you to tempo out players sometimes. Its matchups are pretty good into Rune and into any matchup that is good for Aria, just because she's good with Aria. And Mataz is good into Face Dragon. It's a big ward that does like board clear. Aria is the slow, consistent, does lots of chip over the course of the game. It takes about 3 turns to outclass Selwyn in terms of damage. 3 to 4 turns of playing fairies, doing stuff, chipping the opponent, setting them into range of your lethal over multiple turns. She's not quite great in this matter since you don't really need to do that into Rune most of the time. In the mirror you don't really need to do that. And against like artifacts and puppets, sometimes it's worth it, but again, it's like not that important. Just play another Roach turn. You should be fine. Olivia comes to solve one of your weaknesses, as does Erin. The fact that you can't deal with 2 medium-sized guys on turn 7 or 8. Think about if you don't have Olivia, Selwyn, or Erin in hand, most lists cannot kill an Olivia board without wasting a ton of resources. It's one of the ways you can beat Roach, in particular, is by building multiple medium-sized guys turn after turn, grinding them into the late game, burning their resources on removal, and healing out of range. Tailwind is a burn card. It's just a big storm card. And in that, it's pretty good. For Mulligan, if you're playing Ruby, you may as well keep Ruby. Otherwise, it's your berry cards and maybe Godwood stuff. If you've already got a draw, you can keep. If you've got draw in your hand, you can keep Bale. Otherwise, it's very risky to keep Bale. Like, Convoke, Glade, Bale is a fine hand to keep. It's a bit clunky, but it's fine. You should draw into something. Tamer is a fine keep, but you don't need to keep Tamer if you have other plays. And you may as well keep Godwood stuff unless you're playing against Dragon. Since the Dragon game is not going to be... You don't have the time to play Godwood stuff against the vast majority of Dragon players. In this lot, you keep Damatas against Dragon, and that's about it. You can keep Lei if you already have like fairies, so that you can get cycle going, and you don't need to like hit the opponent in the face like against Rune. For deck lists, you can play like 2 Lei and Aria. I'd actually recommend cutting the Fade Twinkletoes, cutting the Aria, and running 2 Olivia. But you can, this is a list that if you wanted to play Arya, this is a pretty decent list. It's a bit difficult to run Arya and Olivia in the same deck, and I do think Olivia is better. Here's a Selwyn list, very cheap list. And then just a slightly different variant of that. Instead of running, we run slightly less 2s, we run Triple Teamer, we run Olivia, we run Aryan to deal with more late game. I don't even have the space for one lay. Overall, I don't think this deck is that hard, but it is a 3-turn thought deck. And all of the decks that are 3-turn thoughts, which all of the decks in this game are, that are above tier 3, are good and difficult things. Roach is not that much more difficult once you get comfortable with your Roach math. Next, Portal. Artifact is obviously tier 1. Puppets are a very good control deck. For artifacts, the core is run all of the good artifact cards, forehead. Okay, we only run 2 Rukina because it's she's not that good. He's a bit slow. And then you run Orcus and Puppeteer because they're busted cards. Oh, and it's Sylvia. Sylvia's draw, heal, very good. Does a lot in one slot. Very, very good roll compression in this card. We run Doomright for burn, and sometimes heal and board clear. Alouette because she's crazy, and everything else is just damage. Crazy card that does damage, this board clear does heal. Although generally you want to do damage, generally you want this to do damage. The game plan is all here. You want to set up your opponent to die to like Orcus Super Evolve, Orcus Super Evolve. Generally speaking, you should not put your opponent to 16 and then just slam Orcus Super Evolve, slam Orcus Super Evolve. If you can't kill them through an Olivia and then another heal. If you can't kill your opponent through that, don't just waste your Super Evolve so quickly. Try to get them to 14 so that you can kill them through Olivia plus no other heal. Of course, you can Realmia them for more damage if you have enough beta set up instead. Burn them, burn them, burn them. Control the board if you need to. Think about how many turns you can kill your opponent in, and only start really burning them if it's an obvious good tempo play, like with Alouette, or if you can actually start killing them in like 3 or 4 turns. Even if you think it's going to take 3 or 4 turns, think 3 or 4 turns ahead. Can I kill them with my Orcus Super? Can I develop betas such that I can then kill them with my Orcus Super Evolve in a few turns? That's how you play the deck. Sometimes you play Orcus for removal. If you just dump her on 8 for 8 damage that doesn't matter, then you can't play her for removal. So don't do that. If you can't kill your opponent, don't waste your resources. As for the rest of the deck, the main thing we want is draw. So really, you're going to be running Udis or Ruby, and that's kind of it. The rest I think are sort of bad. Electro Whiplash comes here because of being fairly good into Forest. Puppet Theater is just like a pretty efficient amount of removal, but it's a bit clunky on your hand size. Puppet Lancer is another 2-drop. Being a 2-1 is really iffy. You die to Fire Nu and to Puppeteer and to Lance. So all of those are really bad things. Also, technically you lose to Electro Whiplash, but no one plays that. Dream of Life is another artifact card that deals with Dragon. In Ruby, this is, and in Topaz, this is probably fine to play. Medical Grade Assassin is a puppet card that gives you the same burn that Lancer does, but isn't a 2-1 and also makes like other puppets more threatening. Polo is just like filler. It's good, it's okay into Forest, it's good into Sword, it's okay into Abyss, it's fine card overall. Divine Thunder is played exactly for wrong Varo. Yudi is just like, Yudi might just be core in the deck. I think she might just be core. I don't think Lei does enough for this deck to be played. which is why Leia's not here. Noah I think is bad, but I see it a lot, and I do appreciate that. Yes, it does provide more burn. If you're running like Puppet Lancer, medical grade, and Noah, yeah, you can play Orcus and do 10 burn without an evolve. The fuck off. Liam is more burn for the deck that just takes an evolve. Because of Alouette, you kind of, and Sylvia, you kind of don't have that much room for Liam, but it is fine. You definitely can afford a Liam or two. As for the mulligan, keep the one drop, just keep these 4 cards. And I guess Orcus is worth keeping because you can cheese players out with an Orcus. Especially if you're running more 2s, which you should be. If you're running another 2-drop, it's a lot a lot safer to hold onto Orcus. As for a list, this is what I would probably play right now. Electro Whiplash to deal with Forest. That's about it. That's the only thing I think is interesting. Then we have Puppets. This is a control deck that Bottle runs, relying on just clearing your opponent's stuff and then hitting them with Orcus and with Noahs and Liams for a bunch of burn. Clear everything and then burn them. Maybe you get a powerful early game board, you get to chip them. That is very, very good. One of the powerful things about Puppets is that you can counter tempo a lot of your enemy early games, win those boards, and do 4 to 8 chip to your opponent for free. Do not use an evolve for 2 damage. An evolve needs to be a minimum worth 6 damage. The value of 6 damage is the minimum you need to be getting out of your evolves for this deck. Field Owl does reach that, and the deck is a little bit light on hard removal, so you can run Field Owl. I don't think Field Owl should have been in core. In fact, I'm going to remove it from core right now and put it into the options. Because, again, it's so expensive to use up the evolves in a list that's already fairly dependent on its evolves. Its evolves are already specifically caught up in its Sylvia, its Liams, and its... That's for its regular evolves. And its super evolves are already caught up in... Its super evolves are already caught up for Orcus. So you have a very, very low pressure to evolve, but you don't want to be running cards that make you evolve. As for your options, you've got draw, you've got pseudo draw, you've got removal for like hard to remove things, you've got Ronvero, you've got cheese. Mega Cavalier is actually very good into Forest in particular. Forest struggles to deal with multiple Mega Cavs in a single game. It's a bit, if it does hit, if you have nothing in play, your opponent has nothing in play, and you play this on turn 5 and evolve it, that is essentially an Alouette. So decks that struggle with Alouette, like Sword, also struggle with Mecha Cap. Like Sword and Forest. But it's particularly weak into Abyss, for example. Olivia is just a really good card overall. That's why we play her. She draws, she heals, and she kills stuff. You don't have to evolve, super evolve her. So-called free thinkers, when they play Olivia, and they slam super evolve for no reason. And we have Cocytus for just like other... It's good into Abyss, because Abyss grinds you out. It's good into Haven, because Haven can grind you out. And it's good for the Mirror, because the Mirror can grind you out. Are playing a list? Be something like... I'd probably run something like this. I am recording, right? Yeah. Get the lay for some draw. I still think Field Owl is probably worth it. The tempo card, but... Then we got Rudy for draw. Mecha Cat for cheese. Olivia because she's good. I will probably also put in the description like a double Ruby triple A list. This list is also fine because it doesn't force you to use your evolves. Rune has the issue as well of being an evolve tool, but she baits you into it. You don't evolve her in this deck. She's a heal 2 that draws a card that can be played on like turn 8, turn 9 to protect your face. Next up we have Rune. Rune gives us the first deck that I think is so bad I don't even have a list for you. That is Dirt. I think Dirt is completely unplayable. Just put, if we are building a Dirt deck, I can build one really quick for you. Because it's a very simple thing. We go to our legendaries. We put in 3 Ann, we put in 3 Cool, and we think about Decline, we put in Decline, we put in this, and then we go and build spellboost. But let's say we don't build spellboost because we want to play the deck. What do we do then? Well, we reset our filters, and then we go stack. It doesn't. Stack isn't. Maddie. Look at Birthright, run of these, run this, run this, run this. Good to draw, we run homework time. And you just do something like that, like, this deck is bad, who cares? I will put a list in the description. I'll probably play a list for a bit, see what I feel about it, but maybe likely we just put that in the description. This list is terrible. We have probably the deck that is played the worst in the game, which is Spellboost Rune. I think players play this deck like absolute dog shit. They are obscenely bad at it. They super evolve Kuon for no reason. They evolve Ann for 2 face damage. Why? Who cares about fucking 6 damage? It's nothing. It's nothing. Genuinely. You do not want to evolve your Kuon unless you are forced to defensively. Or it's going to kill your opponent. Your main game plan is sit on your ass, clear all your opponent's stuff, sort of counter-tempo them, ask them to remove your guys so that they don't hit you in the face, keep threatening them so that you can protect yourself, then play your Cocytus, climb, and slam them in the face with whatever, or Kuon climb and slam them in the face with whatever. Sometimes it is worth like hitting them with a Kuon so you can Kuon climb, so you can just Kuon super evolve on 10 or 9. That is something that happens. I think anyone who's played the deck can see why I'm playing every card here, this number. This card is really good. We need all the draw you need. This card's really good. This card's really good. This is draw. This card's great. We need the board clear. This card's great. This card's great. Very obvious. I don't want to go over every single card here. Go over the options though. Now, there is a case for triple William and triple Blaze Destroyer and double for Ruler of Cocytus. Triple William is pretty good if you're running into lots of mirrors and like Sword and Abyss, because those decks can set up multiple threatening boards and you may run out of gas and be forced to use a super evolve to deal with it. Blaze Destroyer is better into decks that require you to cheese them, like Forest or Face Dragon. Although every single deck can get cheesed by a Blaze Destroyer on turn 5. What you want to be doing is thinking about your opponent's removal. Don't play into an Abyss player that played Aragravi Super Evolve into Aragravi Regular Evolve into your Ann. Don't go second and kill Flame Blaze Destroyer and that's your turn, because they're just gonna Dark Seal Demon or Mukan and just blow up your board anyway. Or Aragravi it, so who cares? Don't play the second card. Play it when they don't have enough removal to deal with it. Play it when you can play Kuon, Super Evolve, triple Blaze Destroyer, because this deck can never deal with that. Well, outside of Mukan stuff, but shut up. That's not gonna happen. As for the last option, generally speaking, you want to run more draw. That's the main thing. I don't like anything that isn't running more draw. Of those, you're choosing between Witch's New Brew and Delay, depending on your tastes. I am a Witch's New Brew enjoyer. I think this is the better option and the harder option to use because you don't get the extra late game protection of an additional ward in your list, but you get a cheaper draw that enables you to have a 4-cost AoE. This is because you do not click Witch's New Brew to 3, you click it to 2 unless you are fairly certain you're going to be playing the AoE next turn, in which case yes, you may as well click it to 3. Under such a case, this allows you to draw and it allows you to board clear. The reason we don't want to go to 3 is so if we top deck a Witch's New Brew, we can slam the Witch's New Brew and not be stuck in a bad spot with a Witch's New Brew stuck in our hand. It is worth the AoE, I believe, to be worth losing out on a hand slot, so that's why I'm a preferrer of it. Ruby, it's an early game card that allows you to improve the quality of your hand on average. Same thing. Truth Summon is just like a really bad Miranda. Don't play it. I'm playing it here, putting it here just to say don't play it. Unless you're playing Emilu, but I'm also going to say don't play Emilu, but I'll explain Emilu in a second. Radiant Rainbow, you don't really need Spellboost 2, but it is a draw card. So it can fit in the last slot after these. Apollo can play in every deck. Dazzling Rune Knight allows you to play more high roll. Divine Thunder, Ron Vero. Arcane Eruption, just like slightly more board clear. Don't play it with Ninja's New Brew, you already have stuff. But I guess it's fine technically to play with Ninja's New Brew for even more board clear. Emilu is another board clear that allows you to play more aggressively, in that it's another high roll card. You can start like counter clearing boards with two golems, but there's not enough golem cards for that, so that's why I don't think Emilu is really worth it. The deck is too slow in its main win con to want to play Emilu. And then you have Snowman Army, is just another single target removal option. There aren't quite enough decks in the meta for this to really be worth it. They like build lots and singular or double threats, so don't play this. But it does have its own niche and may end up being playable at a later date. Next up, Abyss. Abyss has 3 variants of the same deck and a really bad deck that I actually forgot to grab the card for. Oops. Let's make sure you don't see anything weird. Whilst I put it on my tier list. Alright. Honestly, I'm just gonna put it in bad. Talk about it in a bit. You might have seen these numbers instead of what's core, and this has a specific meaning. When you have the 8 means you have an 8% chance to brick against a specific 5 like an Alouette or an Anne based on having 8 answers to it. So that would be having your Mukans, your Darkseid Demons, and your Aragravis. Down to 2 at 55. You only have 2 answers for like an Alouette in your deck because they haven't traded the Alouette, for example. You have 2 Darkseid Demons. Then you have a 55% chance of not having your answer. Otherwise, this class has a fairly small pool of core cards. Devious Lesser Mummy, Shadow Crypt Memorial, and Cerberus create a package of a lot of face damage. Olivia fits super well into this, and Aragravi is an excellent board clear. This We all know that Cerberus is a crazy card that allows you to both do lots of face damage and heal if needed when you super evolve her. And that Shadow Crypt Memorial works super well with it, whilst also adding shadows to make your Orthrus and your lesser mummies and your Cerberus better. Minnow is unfortunately only at 2 rather than 3 because of how bad she is on turn 2. She loses like the other 2s to Lumilance, Puppeteer, and Fire Newt. Bonemancer is at 2, just even though she's definitely a 3 of in the vast majority of decks, just because she's slightly more cuttable than other cards, as her impact is relatively low on any given game, but her average impact is good. She's one of the most consistent cards in your class, being a 3, which you are struggling to have a very, very few of, whilst also providing 3 shadows, same as Shadow Crypt Memorial. Argravi, we should all know, amazing board clear. You can pre-evo this after clearing the board to play around Zirconia, to play somewhat around Anne depending on your hand, to play around Alouette, make Alouette really, really annoying. Make it really annoying for Alouette to deal with, and like against Dragon in some spots, if you have enough HP, it's okay. If the forest opponent's already played a Glade, it then becomes annoying to deal with. Haven doesn't have a good answer to this either. They have to like field out it. Their Celefa no longer survives, so it becomes kind of painful for them. Reaper's Death Slash, just play 2 of it in every deck. 3 is way too many, 1 is a bit too few most of the time. Having just consistent access to a way to clean up a board on like Super Evo turns or off of a Ghost or off of a Skeleton is really nice. But it's a bit clunky, so we can't run a lot of them. Olivia is notably good in this class because of Ceres and Mummy. It works super well with those, as well as being okay with Ghosts and working very well with Bats. Yes, Bats. In the slower variants of this, we add in Orthrus and Ceres and Darkseal Demon. Orthrus, Ceres, Darkseal Demon, and Medusa as core cards. These cards are so impactful that I think they're almost core, and you can run them all in your aggressive lists reasonably, and you should be running some of them in your aggressive lists. Like running Orthrus is practically straight up just core. Ceres is useful in aggro. And Darkseal Demon is just a good card, as well as Medusa doing face damage in aggro. Medusa is like a very efficient late game non-evo using card, kills 3 big guys, cleans up boards. It's great. Darkseal Demon is a draw that kills Alouette and Anne and etc, etc. The 2 self damage is pretty expensive, and taking an evolve does hurt, but there isn't anything better that you can run. That's why we only play 2. Oh my, Ceres. Such a good card once you get used to it. Amazing turn 4 against like Zirconia. It's not great against Dragon because they might be running 4 or 5 guy that can just kill it, and you're really sad if they do that. It's amazing against Sword, it's annoying for Rune, it's annoying for everything. Every single class finds Ceres annoying to deal with going when you go first and slam her on 4 or coin her on 3. And Orthrus is 3 shadows that has a mini board clear attached on Evo. The Evo is really efficient and does not compete with your other Evos in the same way by being a mini board clear. Too many cards! Yep, we have so many options. Now, I put Ceres and Darkseal and Orthrus in here because I Medusa those 4 in here because they're options in aggressive lists. Ceres, being a powerful turn 4, is quite strong at allowing you to win boards and continue pushing to hit your opponent in the face. So she can be played in aggro. Orthrus is just really, really good and probably purely cool, but I've seen lists without her, played lists without her, and you don't hurt that much without her, but she's super good. Venom Fang Medusa in aggro list kills 3 guys, you super evolve her, she does 3 face damage. And Darkseal Demon, just a good card. Lilith is a 1-drop. This the vast majority of her value in mid-range lists. She does add a bat, which can be used with Olivia for healing. Don't Fighter is a 2-drop that also filters a 4. It's fine. since this deck kind of struggles to find 3s and to find 4s, there aren't really that many. Well, it doesn't struggle to find 4 if you're playing Rune, but it struggles to find 3s. And some lists don't have space for all the 4s that it wants to play, so this can give you slightly more roll compression in a single slot. Layers draw, don't evolve her. Ruby increases the quality of your hand on average and is a good tempo tart. In mid-range lists, this is generally what you're running. In control lists, you're generally running this. Filled Out allows you to play more aggressively by giving you more options to deal with stuff without having to run the Darksteel Demon. Talked about Authoress. Soul Predation. Soul Predation is draw. Draw is really good. It's a bit clunky since you have to play it on ghosts or super evolved cards or skeletons, but it's cheaper than Seraphic Tidings. Rage of Serpents. It's Razor Claw. Do 3 face damage. Sometimes kills a 3/3. It's fine. Apollo. It's Apollo. It's better in aggro lists as it allows you to send everything face and then just Apollo their board after they do it. Divine Thunder. Ron Vera. Answer. Yuna's pretty cool. Bats heal for a bunch and they're very good. An extra ghost works well with Mukan, and with Olivia, and with Cerberus. The 4/5 isn't great, but not being a 1 cost allows you to hold on to that bat for your second super evolve, or if you've already used all your super evolves, regular evolve if you still have one, for healing. It's also kind of annoying your opponent to kill it when it's just a random bat in play, chip healing you. Mukan clears boards. That's it, it's just a very expensive board clear. Cheap in terms of play points, but it requires an evolve or necromancy. Kills 2 guys, kills 4 guys with Shadow Crypt. Sometimes your skeletons gain Bane and become annoying. Sometimes you play Una and kill an extra guy. Flat heals for 5, this should also be at 2, not 1. And Cocytus is like a slow deck tech card. We have this Kaito list. Oh, did I not talk about Mulligan in this? Oh no, I did. The Mulligan for this deck is 2 drops. Like, you're keeping your 2s. Pretty much always keeping some kind of 2-drop. If you have multiple 2s, you may as well throw Minnow. You may as well keep Bone Mancer and Ceres and keep Aragravi. So you want your 2-drops, you want your Bona, you want your Aragravi, and you want your Cerberus. Because Cerberus is broken as fuck, so you keep her anyway. Other cards you may as well throw away. If you already have a 2, you can keep Shadow Crypt Memorial. Sometimes you'll want to keep Shadow Crypt Memorial, but that's not guaranteed. More aggressive lists in like the Kaito list. I'm a big hater of this list, and I wouldn't play it. You've got your Lay, I do like the Filled Out Ruby, and the Minnow, but I just kind of hate those cards. I think that Beryl is better in the aggro lists, but I'm not quite sure if Beryl is really worth it overall. Yes, you run all of this in the late game. This is better into Forest and worse into literally everything else. You can't grind anyone out, you can't heal, you just explode. I hate this list, but I appreciate why it exists. And this is the Twitter handle. And it's the only list that I'm showing that isn't my own. Bengus, this is a very traditional mid-range deck. Register, you've got your removal, you've got your good heal, you've got extra removal, got all of the highest quality cards, as well as keeping most of your damage. Against Sword, your idea is to keep up the tempo. If you fall behind, you will lose. If they fall behind, they lose. You have to try and stay even on board long enough to grind them into a spot where you can get a Ceres down that they can't kill. And the control list just runs Vlad instead of Razory, whilst also running Lay because it's an actual draw card, unlike Ruby. I really like this list. This list has felt really good since I started playing it. I was originally going to put it in tier 3, but this is the tier 2 list. It is notably different and slower, but it maintains enough of the pressure that it's still scary, whilst Vlad's heal is crazy good. And if your opponent makes one slow turn, you just slam Vlad on and you win the game. Like, the 5 heal is actually almost that good. Vlad is otherwise kinda ass. Your opponent does need to make a slow play, but if they do, he's amazing. Against Roach, your game plan is to set up threats that they have to clear constantly over and over. Ceres is a particularly good one. Stay above 17, so it's very difficult for them to kill you. And grind them out of resources. Even if they have Godwood stuff, they typically will run out of cards around turn 14, so just don't die, forehead. And if they roach you, they're liable to run out of cards fairly soon. Then you can do something like set up a board and then ward with Lay. And it'll be difficult for them to kill you afterwards. Your other matchups, like Puppets and Artifact, just keep slow. Don't be too greedy. Don't not be greedy. You need to be greedy, but don't allow them to kill you over 2 turns. Where you can't heal out of range. Because they will take it and you will die. Play slow, you win the game. The longer it goes, the more likely you are to win, unless you're playing the aggro list, in which case, cry. Against Rune, you have very good answers to all of their stuff. They kind of have to cock climb you into something good, or they will die if they play slow. If they play fast, they will run out of stuff and you'll be able to counter lethal them. Sword, as I said, just play tempo, deal with their stuff. Try and, if you can ever, not save and evolve, but only evolve if you can guarantee they're going to evolve into you. You lose if you use your evolves fast. But consider that you can kill them, that you can kill them. A lot of the time, against Sword, you clear that board and slam pre-evo your Aragravi, and then you can push them out of the game. That Aragravi pre-evo gives you so much extra room against Sword. So don't be afraid to turn gears and then start slamming the Sword player in the face. Since they do kinda grind you pretty hard. If Vlad was 6 damage, heal 6, this deck would not have the same issues, because it would be able to kill Amalia and be safe. Then you kind of just, against Face Dragon, try and greed out your Ceres to a Super Evo turn. If you can do that, they have no answers to it and they just explode. Against Haven, the problem is you are playing around setting up lethal. If they don't have Dark Haven, you're pretty happy. If they do have Dark Haven, you kind of have to grind them out and hope they don't draw Lapis. They draw Lapis and you don't run Cocytus, you're just gonna lose. You can, like, Cerberus into Cerberus, kill them, set up your Shadow Crypt Memorial and Devious Lesser Mummies with Serbi to hit them for 12 multiple turns in a row. It's really how you're going to be winning those games. Otherwise. Next up is Dragon. Base Dragon is usable, Midrange Dragon is usable, Cocytus Dragon is bad, Ram Dragon is unplayable. Oh, also Puppets, yeah. Actually, I think it's this way. I think midrange, pure midrange is the best, then control Puppets, then that. Oh. Base Core! So we play tempo, we play storm, we hit them in the face and they explode. That's kind of the idea. We tempo them in the early game, we clear that board with Apollo, hopefully, and then we 4-day evolve face, warrior the deep them. Ruby is an hand improver, important in an aggro deck. Lots and lots of burn out of this. It's one of the only 1-cost cards in the game, so you play this on 1 and there's literally no downside. Field Owl gives you more removal, which this deck is a little bit lacking in. Fire Newt is crazy good. Dragon Annie is kind of weaker than the other 2s for this deck, but it's still a good card. It's a 2-drop and you need more 2s. Apollo is a great anti-tempo card where you can allow you to go Facer in the early game and then clean up like a sword opponent. Ether is a storm card. Marion, I might be a little bit biased because I think he's hot, but +2/+2 on on coins 4 if you only have 1/2 for some reason. 4/4/3/3 really difficult to deal with. Play Marion, evolve it, trade over something, you're in another like difficult to deal with spot, especially if it has 4 health. If you have like 2 4 health guys, that's really annoying. Forte, she does lots of base damage and is kind of difficult to kill. Doesn't get disrupted by ward. That's it. Fire is a 2 and a 4, so it's sort of decent filler, but the other 2s aren't really worth it. Vigilance Detective is a 3/3/3 that allows you to get through ward, allows you to potentially ignore... allows you to potentially push some damage for 2. Tell is the 4th 3-drop that you run. You run it as another 3-drop that can sort of work with other cards with the Super Evolve to push through a ward and push some face damage. It's only ever played after Vigilance Detective. Draconic Berserker gives you even more board clears. That's his main role, to be an additional board clear. You don't really want to be playing this on 4, you want to be doing more face damage stuff, then setting up like Garyu and stuff to kill them. Liu Feng allows you to play midrange. I'm a hater of this card. I understand that it's a big body and allows you to push face for +1, but I'm a hater of it. Olivia, you play this with a storm card, you evolve, hit them in the face. Trade into something, a little bit of a heal. It gives you tempo, gives you more mid-rangey tools. Burnite is pure, like, actually just mid-range. Her AoE does typically clear boards, then you super evolve her and get like 3 damage out of her super evolve, which is the same amount as super evolving face, but because she traded over something, you get 4 total damage. That's why she's okay. Garyu fills the same role as Dragon of the Deep, but is has more stuff. He does 2 less damage for more stuff. You were in faster lists, you just run 3 deep. In slower lists, you run 2 Garyu 2 deep. And Genesis Dragon is here mostly as a meme. You shouldn't be really playing this, but you can cheese the fuck out of a player and annoy them for it. So it may be worth it. Here's what I was playing fairly early on. I like this list a lot. 2 Ruby, you've got a lot of early game, you've got your detectives, all of your Apollos for anti-tempo, Berserkers for anti-tempo, Marion to like reward your early game, Liu Feng to go into the more powerful late game cards, mid-range. I also played a list that's not mine, I forgot about this, that only runs 1 Olivia and runs an extra Strike of the Dragon note, as well as an extra Warrior of the Deep. 2/2/2 I think is 2/2/2, which only runs 2 Berserker to like sort of clean up its options. This doesn't get to run Vigilance Detective, but it has a much cleaner line of cards by having Strike of the Dragon. And if you want to go pure face, here's a list. It's an extra 2 here. You got Luxfang here. Maybe you want to run a Zell here and another Strike of the Dragon. Go ahead. I don't like kit lists. Oh boy, sword. Right, Kagemitsu I think slips into tier 3. I think the regular list is just barely not tier 2. Now, you might be thinking it's strange that I don't have Amalia at 3 of core, and I only have 2 Albert at core. But it's because you can play like an almost control list that only runs 2 Albert, and Amalia and Kage are practically mutually exclusive. Ignoranius Samurai is insane, Lumiland Trooper is insane, Hound of War is really good, Valtz is absurd, Zirconia is really good, Albert's crazy, Gino doesn't have any contests that make it bad, but it might only be a 2 of core. And Amalia in aggressive lists only gets played at 2. I think we should again all know why these cards are good, and they don't really need that much explanation. Hound is growing on me as probably a 3 of. For the rest of the list, I first need to talk about this test list. I thought at one point, well, what if I only run the powerful high value sword cards? I don't run the shitty early game cards, and then run Warrior the Maid. The answer is you lose the board early and you just die. So you actually have to run more of the good sword cards. From this, it's whether you're running Royal Coachwoman or Shinobi Squirrel in the next slot, running Ruby or Fildau in another slot. Ruby again and Fildau we talked a bunch, but this is a lot of stats. It works well with Lance, it works well with Iron Crown, it works well with Zirconia. Shinobi Squirrel allows you to play even more aggressively by being an ambush that continues to threaten additional face damage. Flash Step Quickblade is a 1-drop that goes face. Apollo. I think we all know why Apollo's good. Kagemitsu. It's not great on 3, but it is Super Evolved Storm. So it's a 0 cost deal 5 damage at some points. Very nice. You can do 12 damage on 7 or 8 with this card. Luminous Magus technically could be cut in like a very aggressive list, but the card is really high value. Lots of stats, kind of annoying to deal with, works super well with Amelia. Olivia's fine. We've talked about Olivia a lot. The Super Evolve is more expensive in lists that are playing Olivia since they want to greed out the Super Evolves. But you can still just play her as a 5 cost at 7-2. Iron Crown has slipped out of the meta for being a little bit whatever. The 3 cost version is kind of weak. The 3 cost play, and the buff is just like worse than Ravening Tentacles. The card is still fine, but I think it doesn't really have a space in any deck list. Tentacles is 5 face damage when your board is full. When you play like Luminous Magus, fill your board, and your opponent goes, oh, well I can just kill you in 2 turns. Lol. Like a Rune player if they're at 18. Then you can just Ravening Tentacle kill them. Centaur is more face damage. Amalia is crazy board clear, but a lot of players just don't evolve her all of the time in throw games. 2 wards plus a 9/9 behind them is super difficult to deal with. Ruler of Cocytus, mid-range and control tech card. Sword is generally looking for its 2s and its 3s and Zirconia. Everything else is kind of whatever, so you're hard looking for the top tier 2s, the good 3s and Zirconia. Don't keep Zirconia if you don't have the other options. Only keep Valse. Don't keep Dog if you don't have any 2s, but do keep Valse if you have no 2s. Valse is way too good. This is a list that I was playing fairly early on, and it's a pretty traditional list. 3 Albert, 1 Centaur, 3 Iron Crown. I'd probably run 2 Centaur, 2 Tentacles now. But then you have another list that I ended up playing that runs Apollo. This is fine. The 3 Olivia is kind of bad, so I would recommend 2 Olivias most of the time. And then we have a greeded out list that I don't really recommend. We have seen a trend towards Kagemitsu and Face, running stuff like this. This is a pretty fun aggressive list. But having no Amalia sacrifices a lot of your Abyss matchup, your Mirror matchup for your Forest, your Portal, and your Runecraft matchups, which overall is worth it. Amalia is not that good into a competent Forest player compared to Amelia Lumimagus. Amelia Lumimagus is actually what beats them, not Amalia. Unless you realize that you're supposed to super evolve your Amalia with 2 and have 2 or 3 wards in play, in which case then the Forest player might actually struggle to deal with it. Amalia is dealable with. Or super evolving awards. They can't kill it with Bale. Amalia is fine, but she's kind of not great into the top of the meta. I still think there's some room for experimentation in Sword. I think the Sword list hasn't been figured out because Sword players took 2 weeks to consistently evolve Amelia and Lumi Mages on the same turn. I didn't see a player after day 1 that wasn't bottom of screen do the Amelia Lumi Mage play until week 2. Like, how? Okay, I shouldn't. I don't need to call players bad just because it's really annoying. Oh yeah. Yeah, the Phaser lists seem to be doing better to the meta than the Amalia lists, but you will fall. But the lower your RP is, the less meta players you're going to be playing, and the lower the lower group you're in. If you're not in Diamond, you're going to be seeing less of those decks that the aggressive lists are good into. Finally, we have Haven with the, I think, bad, but like very close to usable Bird Haven and the unplayable Control Haven. I don't have a Control Haven list for you. I don't even know how to build it. And I only have one list. Because I just don't think Haven is good. I don't think Haven has that many things. I think it has tons of options and they all fucking suck. All you have is like Salefa and Ronvero cheese. You have like Manu cheese. Darkhaven Grease is great. But it's just like a couple good cards. Who cares? The deck has very good board clear potential and does have the Lapis to cheese out players. You have Psychic Riven for face damage and the good amount of burn in the deck, so you can go pretty facey and or play mid-rangey or play control. But all of your options are just worse than other options. You're bad at each. You're a deck that does everything poorly. Haven needs more cards. Alright, these are my completed tier list. Roach at 1. Abyss has tons of really good decks that are basically the same deck with some minor differences. Sword creeps into staying in tier 2, and everything else is... And everything apart from Haven has a usable deck.